Somewhere in America right now, there's a person with a worse bite than when they started. They paid a company nearly $2,000, signed a financing agreement they didn't fully understand, and by the time they realized something was wrong, that company had already filed for bankruptcy and turned off the lights. No refund, no customer service line, no one left to call, just a mouthful of problems and a debt that kept on billing. This is the story of SmileDirectClub, a company that looked at a $12 billion orthodontics industry, decided the professionals running it were the problem, and convinced Wall Street that a 3D printer and a selfie could replace a decade of dental school. They almost pulled it off. Almost. It starts, as so many disasters do, with a genuinely good idea. In 2014, childhood friends Alex Fenkel and Jordan Katzman looked at the cost of straightening teeth in America and saw something broken. Traditional braces could run $5,000 to $8,000. Invisalign wasn't much cheaper. And you needed appointments, lots of them. For working-class families or young people without dental insurance, straight teeth were essentially a luxury product. So they built a shortcut. You'd either receive a home impression kit in the mail, bite down on some putty, send it back, and a remote dentist would design your aligner plan without ever seeing you in person. Or you'd walk into one of their smile shops for a quick 3D scan. A few weeks later, a box of plastic aligners would show up at your door. No waiting rooms, no dentist small talk, no $300 follow-up appointments. The pitch was simple, same result, fraction of the cost, delivered to your door like a Netflix DVD. And in the mid-2010s, that pitch was basically a money printer. The direct-to-consumer revolution was devouring every industry it touched. Mattresses, glasses, razors, why not teeth? By 2018, private investors were throwing money at the concept. A funding round pushed the valuation to $3 billion. The hype machine was running full throttle. Then came 2019, and with it, one of the most disastrous IPOs in recent memory.
There hasn't been much to smile about recently for SmileDirectClub. The stock finished the day down 7%. And with today's losses, SmileDirect is now down a whopping 55% since the company's IPO just last month.
SmileDirectClub hit the NASDAQ on September 12, 2019, targeting an $8.9 billion valuation at $23 per share. The marketing was slick. The story was compelling. Investors were primed. Analysts called it a company built for the modern consumer. Then the opening bell rang, and the stock immediately fell 28% on its first day of trading. It was reported as the worst debut for a major U.S. IPO since the financial crisis. The public markets had looked behind the curtain, and they did not like what they saw. The problem was obvious to anyone paying attention. Wall Street had been sold a technology company. What they actually got was a medical device business with sky-high customer acquisition costs, razor-thin repeat purchase potential, and a product that could genuinely hurt people if it went wrong. Software companies have infinite margins. SmileDirectClub had warehouses, plastic, and postage. But the founders didn't slow down, they doubled the bet. The legal wars started almost immediately, and they were brutal. Their biggest enemy wasn't a startup competitor. It was Align Technology, the company behind Invisalign, who happened to be a former investor and supply partner before the relationship curdled into something much uglier. The two companies dragged each other through court for years. SmileDirectClub won some rounds, lost others, including a $99.7 million judgment over a disputed ownership stake. Every legal victory came with an equal and opposite cost somewhere else. But the more dangerous fight was with state regulators. The orthodontic community had been raising alarms since the beginning. Their core argument was straightforward. Straightening teeth without in-person x-rays means you can miss gum disease, bone loss, cavities, conditions that aligners can actively make worse. California's dental board sent investigators into smile shops. The company called it harassment and sued the state. California's legislature responded by drafting a bill that would require physical exams before any aligner could be prescribed remotely. If that bill passed, SmileDirectClub's entire business model collapsed. The speed and the low cost, the whole value proposition, depended on never putting a dentist in the same room as the patient. Professional oversight wasn't just inconvenient for them, it was existential. Then the press turned. In January 2020, the New York Times published an investigation revealing that SmileDirectClub had been using non-disclosure agreements to silence unhappy customers. People who asked for refunds were apparently required to sign away their right to post negative reviews publicly. As a condition of getting their money back, they had to stay quiet. The story broke something open. NBC Nightly News followed with a broadcast investigation featuring customers describing serious complications: pain, bite misalignment, teeth that had moved in the wrong direction. A hidden camera investigation in Canada raised questions about misleading sales practices and treatment plans being approved without adequate oversight. SmileDirectClub's response was not to fix the problems, it was to sue NBC Universal for $2.85 billion, claiming defamation. They were fighting regulators, fighting Align, fighting journalists, and fighting former customers through forced arbitration, all at the same time, all while burning cash at an extraordinary rate. The company that had promised to democratize dentistry was spending its money on lawyers instead of patients. If you want to track companies heading toward collapse before the headlines catch up, my newsletter covers distressed debt, leveraged finance, and bankruptcies in plain language. Link in the description. By 2022, the economics were impossible to ignore. The core problem had always been hiding in the unit economics. SmileDirectClub needed to constantly find new customers because a teeth straightening treatment, if it works, is a one-time purchase. You fix your teeth once, you don't come back. That meant the company was permanently dependent on enormous marketing spend just to maintain revenue.
We'll show you how clear aligners work to gently and discreetly move your teeth from the comfort of your home.
And that marketing spend was always going to eat the margins. Then inflation hit, then consumer confidence dropped. Discretionary spending on non-urgent healthcare, the kind of thing you want but don't desperately need, was exactly what people cut first when money got tight. Demand fell just as their cash reserves were running out. They were trapped. Spend to acquire customers and bleed out. Stop spending and watch revenue evaporate. There was no version of this that ended well. By August 2022, the Wall Street Journal reported SmileDirectClub was facing a serious cash crisis. The CFO was cutting costs with one hand and watching customers disappear with the other. The stock, which had priced at $23 and debuted at around $16, was now trading in the low single digits. From a target valuation of $8.9 billion, the market had rendered its verdict. This company was worth almost nothing. The end came fast, brutally fast. On September 29, 2023, SmileDirectClub filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The initial plan was the usual restructuring playbook: cut debt, find a buyer, keep the business alive in some form. But within days, that plan collapsed entirely. No buyer emerged. No restructuring was viable. The company announced it was shutting down all operations immediately and moving straight to liquidation. The homepage went dark. In its place, a stark FAQ. The lifetime smile guarantee, the one they had advertised relentlessly as a reason to trust them, was gone. Canceled, non-existent. Customers midway through active treatment were told their aligner shipments had stopped. And in a detail that captured everything wrong with how this company operated, those same customers were still expected to keep making monthly payments to their third-party financing company, HFD, even though there was no product left to receive and no company left to contact. People who had trusted SmileDirectClub with their teeth were left holding debt and a half-finished treatment plan with nowhere to turn. There was a small late footnote. In November 2025, a $31.75 million settlement in an antitrust case was approved, creating partial payouts for some affected customers. It was something. It wasn't enough. For many, it was a fraction of what they'd paid, arriving years after the damage was done. So what actually happened here? SmileDirectClub didn't fail because the idea was stupid. Affordable teeth straightening for people priced out of traditional orthodontics is a genuinely worthwhile goal. They failed because they decided that the medical guardrails standing between them and scale were obstacles to be sued away, rather than problems to be solved. Every professional who raised a safety concern was treated as a competitor protecting their turf. Every regulator who asked for oversight was sued or lobbied against. Every customer who complained was silenced with an NDA as a condition of their refund. The company optimized for growth and suppressed every signal that something was wrong. And Wall Street rewarded them for it, right up until it couldn't anymore. The $8.9 billion valuation was built on a story about disruption and access and democratizing healthcare. But underneath that story was a business that had decided patient safety was a cost center, that in-person exams were friction to be eliminated, that a remote sign-off from an overloaded dentist reviewing a digital scan was close enough. For most customers, it probably was close enough. But for the ones it wasn't close enough for, the ones with the gum disease that went undiagnosed, the bites that shifted in the wrong direction, the complications that a single in-person x-ray might have caught, there was no recourse. The company was gone. The guarantee was void. The debt remained. Move fast and break. Things works fine when the things you're breaking are inefficient taxi dispatch systems or overpriced hotel bookings. It doesn't work when the things you're breaking are people's teeth. If you want more stories about companies that promised to change the world and left the damage bill for everyone else, click on one of the videos above.